Hey everybody, welcome back to The Silver Lining. I'm your host, Juliette Valle, and today I am so excited because I have an extremely lovely, extremely beautiful, and extremely smart guest. Please welcome Miss Maine 2019, Carolyn Brady.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Actually, Carolyn is the best. We started doing this interview a couple of minutes ago, and my connection is so bad on my end because it's storming out here in Florida, but she was kind enough to record it on her end. So thank you so much, Carolyn. You are so sweet and just the best ever. So I have a lot of questions for you. And again, I apologize for the delay. And if I start talking over you or something, I'm sorry. It's only because my connection is a little bit whack. But it's perfect on her end, so thank you so much. Okay, so my first question for you is when and how you first got involved with the Miss America organization, and what did you learn in those first few years that you think helped you win Miss Maine?
For sure. So I am actually a native of Pennsylvania, but I went to college in Maine, which is how I had dual state eligibility. And when I first started competing in the Miss America organization, I started competing in Pennsylvania. So I had two titles in PA, and then one of those years was actually the turn of the org, as they say, from 1.0 to 2.0, and then competed for 1 year in Maine. But because Maine does not have local titles, I actually ended up holding two titles in Pennsylvania, and then ended up winning. So I guess that would bring my grand total of title total to 3 between the two states. But I think that I was really attracted to compete in the Miss America organization because it was always a way to highlight my talents outside of the organization. And I was really drawn to the concept of, oh, okay, well, I already play the violin, so this is a place I can share my talent. And I'm already passionate about public service, so this is a way that I can further highlight that and make connections and network, etc. And so I think that being able to have that experience not only in one state but in two is something that ultimately prepared me more for the job of Miss Maine.
That is so awesome. And you said that Maine does not have locals?
We do not. We are an at-large state.
Okay, I see. So you served 3 titles under Miss Maine. You served 2 locals, and then you won Miss Maine. So you've had 3 years of service. And for those of you who don't know what years of service is, it's every Miss America title holder, whether local all the way to national, were required to serve for a year, giving back to our community. That is a huge part of the job. And you did that 3 times. So I'm wondering, well, what your different experiences were as both a local title holder and state title holder. What is the difference in responsibilities there when giving back to your community? And also, how do you feel you've given back to your community in general?
Between Pennsylvania and Maine, it's really fascinating because Maine is an at-large state. I like to think of it as a great opportunity to showcase that you don't need a crown, you don't need a sash to make a difference in your community. And so having local titles in Pennsylvania, I think, was really beneficial to my time in preparing for the Miss Maine state competition. But having the time in Maine to just show up places and say, hi, my name is Carolyn, I want to help, showcasing that an educated woman doesn't necessarily need the sparkly hat to make a difference. And that is something that I was able to do. I was able to put into practice in Maine, that I had definitely gathered from my time as a local title holder in Pennsylvania. So Maine is really interesting in that although we are one of the least diverse states in the country, we are growing more and more diverse, predominantly from our immigrant population, which is really fascinating. And so I really wanted to address that in my service, as I thought that was a way that I could relate to this community in a way that other people might not be able to. And so I was just really grateful to be able to carry ways that I had served previously, either in Pennsylvania or in other life experiences, through not only preparing for the job of Miss Maine, but then doing it as well.
That is so awesome. And you mentioned that Maine is one of the least diverse states. And when I was researching you, I read that you were the first African-American woman to ever hold the title of Miss Maine. I want you to talk about that because I think that is so inspiring in an organization that, is diverse now, Miss America, but was not diverse, until the late 60s, early 70s, when Black contestants were allowed to compete. So I'm wondering, how does that feel to know that you are making history, you are representing, and you are inspiring so many young women who may think, oh, I don't look like most white Miss Maines, I don't look like most white Miss Americas, but then here's you breaking the mold. How does that feel to know that you are inspiring a whole community of young women and men who, before you didn't really see much diversity in the state of Maine.
For sure. I think that winning the job, or I guess earning the job of Miss Maine and being the first African-American Miss Maine is really just a testament to how far our state, specifically in Maine, has come. Myself, in addition to my sister, Miss Tennessee, Brianna, it is her state's
That's so cool that you both.
Yes. For the win. And she is also the first Black title holder in her state. But when you look at the demographics of Maine, they're vastly different than the demographics in Tennessee. And so to know that Maine, a state that is 98% white, is still open, supportive, and willing to lift up their first African-American title holder and make sure that she has the platform to continue to do good, not only for Mainers, but for our country as well. And so I really think that my victory is not just one for myself, but predominantly for my state and diversity in America as a whole.
I completely agree with that. And now your career path I find interesting too. Your undergraduate major is government and legal studies. And I'm wondering what led you to choose that career path, and how is that going for you?
Well, I actually went into college as a math major. I was a very big math girl through and through, elementary, middle, and high school. And
Girl, I cannot relate to that. I can absolutely relate.
And I ended up deciding to pursue government because I found it to be a very good way to inform myself on how to better serve, not only as a member of the organization and as a member of my community, but throughout my career as well. And so at the moment, my full-time job is serving as an AmeriCorps volunteer, which has been a great way for me to put my government and legal studies practice to use, even though I don't actually govern anyone. I'm able to use my knowledge of different social groups and the ways that we interact with different social programs to benefit my community. And then hopefully I will end up in a more official government role somewhere down the line in my career.
Yes, girl, I believe that you will with that answer. And you are a math major. You are a smart cookie. And what a perfect representative for a scholarship program. That answer was very astute. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little too fancy for me to elaborate on. No, I'm kidding. But that's so awesome. And that's just so cool. And now I want to move on to a very cliche question. I say this every time. I know it's cliche, and I even wrote that. But I want to know what that moment was like for you winning Miss Maine, especially with the history behind your win. What did that moment mean to you? What was that moment like, for as much as you can remember of it? Because I know it's all kind of like a blur from what I hear. But I want to know what that crowning moment was like, because it's girls like me and viewers that can only dream of what that's like. So I want to know.
Of course. Well, I think in Maine, I say this with the most love, it's a little anticlimactic because we have such a small group of candidates. So you don't have the final two hands together, typical competition and the job of the first runner-up is that she will take over for the Miss Insert State here if she doesn't win. I was standing with, so 5 people competed for the job of Miss Maine.
5?
5. Yep. So I went into the competition in the top 5. And by the time we got to announcing the girl, because the state of Maine, again, unlike a lot of states, does not have a competition week. So when I competed in Pennsylvania, we have a lot of you get here on Sunday, and part of becoming that state title holder is actually the stamina necessary to remain focused from when you get dropped off until the final night of competition. And being able to make it all the way to that moment and realizing all that hard work. And in Maine, we have a 48-hour competition. So we get there on Saturday, we get there on Friday, we interview, and then on Sunday, I'm getting my days mixed up. Friday we show up, Saturday she's crowned. So it's like a local in terms of time frame. You get there, you get ready all day, you learn the opening number, and then it happens that night. There's no build up suspense of who do you think it's gonna be during the entire week. You don't have your sisters to discuss it the entire time. It's you get there, she's crowned, go home. It's almost like a blink of an eye.
Bye.
And, yes, super fast. And so on the night that Miss Maine was going to be crowned, we got through all the phases of competition. I believe for Miss, it was talent, on stage interview, and then gown and social impact statement. And after all of that, I did a little dance with my princess, and that was super fun because we got to have those towards the end of the competition. And then they got to awards. And there was one girl who won every single award with the exception of like one prior to crowning. So as far as I was concerned, I thought to myself, there's no way it's gonna be me, because she didn't win the talent prelim, but she won like the onstage question award. She won the community service award. She won some award state to Maine. She was last year's award winner for something. Like, she was taking home the plaques. And so I'm sitting there and I was like, well, better luck next year. Like, I'm still eligible. Like, it's gonna be great. And then they announced her as first runner-up. And I was like, oh, wait, what? But she just won these other awards.
What's it all about, girl?
Wait a minute, hold on. But she just won all these other awards. And I was very confused. But I also didn't win the talent prelim, and at the time, talent in Maine was like, what, 40%? So it was a pretty big chunk, and I also didn't win the talent prelim. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not first runner-up, and I didn't win the talent prelim, so this probably isn't my year. And we were all standing together on Maine. We stand on like bleachers, and we hold hands with all of the candidates, and they said, Miss Maine 2019 is Carolyn Brady. And then I was like, oh my God! But obviously I was standing with other girls, and so I made my way downstage and was like trying to be cool. And then there's this really weird moment in my crowning video where I start talking. Yes. I start like talking to myself. And so it's like, I hugged Miss Maine 2018, and then I was like, oh my God, it's me, Carolyn, get it together. And it's like very dramatic on stage.
Wow, yeah, Carolyn, get it together. That needs to be a hashtag.
Yes, I was like, Carolyn, this is like, it was cute 5 seconds ago when you were just the like candidate, but now you're like a title holder, so you gotta like pull it all, get it right and tight. And then
you are hilarious.
It took a minute for them to get the crown on my head, so I remember like in every single one of my crowning pictures, my mouth is like wide open. There's no like tears, there's no like smiling. It's like, and I think it's because it was taking so long to get the crown on my head that I was like, this is my way of trying not to roll my eyes, but I've been squatting like that. If there was one thing that I would tell any girl that wants to be a state title holder, if the person crowning you is not over 5'8", you have to get those squats in, because you will be holding that position for a minute. Like, it was down there. And then I gave my teen a big hug, and we were off to the races.
That is so awesome. So I guess I asked you a question about your Miss America experience, and I want to know what all that is like. But I guess what I could ask you too is, from going to a state competition with only 5 people, which regardless of whether it's 50 girls or 5, it's still a huge deal and a huge job to win a state title. But going to the Miss America competition where millions of people are watching you on a stage, this year was in Connecticut. What was that difference in level of, I guess, grandness? Like, what was that like to you? And also, what was your whole Miss America experience like in general?
Well, the transition from the state of Maine to Miss America wasn't as jarring as I think it would have been had I not competed in Pennsylvania. Because in the state of Pennsylvania, we had like 36 title holders. And so I definitely went in with the mentality of recognizing what it was like to be a part of a larger group and get called into the top 10 and then the top 5, and going through the process of gradual progression of competition. And my experience of going to from Miss Maine to Miss America, I think, was really unique in that because I came from a state with no local title holders and very few candidates, I was very much like blinders on in terms of focus. So there was no There was nothing I had to do that was essentially reflective of like other people's experiences or like the past ex Miss Maines did this. It was very much like, what do we need to do to get you prepared to be your best self at Miss America, which I'm really grateful for. And obviously that would not be possible without the work of my executive director and our board and our sponsors. So thank you to them. I love them.
So I have 2 more questions for you. I had the last one, but I know I have to ask you this question because I think it's the cutest thing. You have Miss Maine memes. I love them. I was stalking you. I think they're so cute, and I've never seen a title holder do that, because what I like about it is that you're a beautiful title holder, but you're also not afraid to post funny photos of yourself, and I think that's so nice. It's like when you see a title holder who's able to goof off and, you know, kind of be silly about stuff, and what a cute plan words that it's Miss Maine memes. It's so cute, and I just want to know how that came to fruition. Where did you come up with that idea? Because I just think it's the cutest thing, and if you guys have not seen it, go on her Instagram. They're genuinely funny. Sometimes memes are not funny. Hers are actually funny, and that's a real compliment.
Girl, she said sometimes they're not funny. That's the best. So it really happened because I was trying to find more ways to be active on social media after Miss America. So leading up to Miss America, obviously I spent a lot of time sharing my preparations and different appearances that I was doing. And we also, on my stories every day, hosted a project called the 100 Question Initiative. Part of my social impact initiative, which is entitled Immigration Builds Our Nation, highlights the contributions of refugees and asylum seekers. And one of the ways that I serve that community is by serving as a tutor for the citizenship exam. So small background on the citizenship exam, which is the exam that you have to take to become a United States citizen. There are a number of sections of that test, but one of them includes 100 questions. You will be asked 10, and you need to get 6 correct in order to advance to the next stage. So I wanted to use my social media platform as a way of educating people on what those questions were if they were studying for that test, and educating American citizens on the fact that these questions are not like things that you definitely would have learned in high school and that you would know everything about. You need to study for them. You can't just like know them if you're a citizen. So that was what I spent the majority of my time doing before Miss America. And so after Miss America, I was like, this feed is looking a little light. We need a plan.
Her up. You know, she needs to get a little bit more active.
Like, we need a plan. So I was flipping through the photos that we had not posted from prior to nationals, and I realized that I eat a lot. So like in my crown and sash, and there were just a lot of like really funny photos that we hadn't used yet. And so myself and a few members of our Miss Maine team sort of put them together, and I do try to keep them fairly current. So like if there's something going on in the world, or like my first meme was when it was literally 20 degrees in Maine. I think it was like winter is a social construct, and it was like me sitting out in the summer on a bike somewhere. It was great. So just trying to keep those going, especially now that I'll be Maine's state representative for an additional year. So plenty more memes to come.
I guess now I have another question. Great. Thanks, Carolyn. I want to know what your opinion is on serving Maine a second year. Of course, it's an honor and a very unique opportunity. I know I'm happy to be serving my title twice because I'm Miss South Florida Fair, and it's a really fun title because although we have a full year of service, the fair is just such a highlight, so I get to do that twice. You get to represent Maine twice, but on the other side of things, it's a very challenging job. I think that a lot of people might take that for granted or overlook how hard it is. Before I got active in the organization, and I'm saying this from a very non-judgmental place about others, because I didn't even know, what the year entailed. It's a year full of work. It's a full-time job, full commitment. I'm wondering how you feel about doing that twice, because the reason why it's designed for 1 year is not only to give every girl a unique and fair opportunity with a window of time, but it's also, a year's worth of very hard work and not really designed for 2 years. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about getting to do it all over again?
Well, I personally am really excited because the state of Maine has been incredibly gracious in giving me the opportunity to sort of continue to pursue my personal passions while also remaining a title holder, which is great.
That's very unique too.
Right. There are a lot of states that are like, hard and fast.
That's why I asked the question too, because I know that you're a very career-focused person, which is why I love having you here, is because I want career-focused driven women. I think that's so inspiring. But you said, I wanted to get started. I didn't want to wait till I aged out because you're young, but you didn't want to wait. You wanted to get started. And with this coming into your life, that kind of pushed you back. But that's great that Maine's doing that, because a lot of states don't give girls that opportunity, understandably so, but still, that's really awesome that Maine's giving you that flexibility.
Absolutely. And I'm incredibly appreciative of having that. And I think for me this year, it's really going to be a lot of reevaluating what my options are. So initially, I was supposed to spend this fall departing for the Peace Corps. So I wasn't even going to be in the country. And I was, yes, guys, this is new. Miss Maine can totally live in Madagascar and teach English to middle schoolers in Africa. That's going to be the new thing. Like, our state title holder pictures are going to have lemurs in them. We're starting a trend.
Listen, a new thing to make a meme about. Like, come on. I also so ironic that you just said, oh, my English. And then you're like, by the way, I'm going to Madagascar to teach English. Here we go. Wow.
So that was the initial plan.
You said that so nonchalantly too. Oh yeah, I'm just, gonna go over there real quick for a little.
Well, that was the initial plan, but then with COVID-19, so many things are being perpetually delayed.
Right.
And so the departure for the Peace Corps cohort of people going specifically to Madagascar was actually pushed back an entire year. And so we won't be departing until the summer of 2021, anticipated, because obviously it's a global pandemic. Things can change at the drop of a hat. So before I knew that, I already committed to be Miss Maine for another year, or as long as it was deemed appropriate by my state. And now I will definitely be in the country for that long. But I think with everything going on with respect to coronavirus and public health, it's just so important to make sure that whatever career decisions I am making are safe and what's in the best interest of, yes, my own career, but also those around me. And so going forward, I love that the Miss Maine Scholarship Organization is definitely devoted to personal development. And so they want to give me the freedom to be able to develop my own personal career and pursuits as much as possible, while also being able to keep serving my state.
That is so awesome. You are visually like the coolest, and you are hilarious. Like, you are just such a bright personality, and I'm sad that I'm at my last question with you, but it's a good one. My show's title is called The Silver Lining because I like to find the positivity in every situation, and based on your memes, you like to find light in every situation too, even when it is 20 degrees outside and you're probably suffering. So I want to know what the silver lining is throughout your work and your involvement with the Miss America organization or with pageants in general. What was the best part of this whole journey to you?
That's a good
I know, it's a loaded one.
Love it though. Hands down, I would have to say the Sisterhood. I am someone that didn't have a ton of girlfriends. In fact, when I actually started competing in what's formerly known as pageants, back in 2017, I didn't actually start in the Miss America organization. I started in a different organization. And then the only reason that I decided to do that is because I was at college. I felt like I didn't really have any real friends. And I thought to myself, Carolyn, how can we meet 35 young women from across the state of Maine that will get Starbucks with me during pumpkin spice latte season whenever I call? Because that was what I was desperately lacking in college. And I decided.
And that's what friends are for. It's pumpkin spice latte.
Girl, okay. So slight tangent, because this is super important. If you're a pumpkin spice latte person, I highly recommend, because I will be in the drive-thru the first week of August at Starbucks, to experience the pumpkin spice cold foam, because you can get the iced pumpkin spice latte and then on top get the pumpkin spice cold foam. And it changed my world. My whole world.
So
this is not silver lining, but I felt that was important to share.
That, I mean, it's, I agree, a little bit of a tangent, but so relevant. And honestly, from one Starbucks lover to another, thank you for that tip. That's going to help a lot of people out there.
Thank you. Anyway, with respect to the silver lining of this organization, so I wanted to meet new people. And my only goal was not even to walk away with the title, but was to walk away with the role of Miss Congeniality. And because I was like, I just really want friends. And so maybe if I can make some friends, then I'll actually win someday. And I did win that year, which was amazing. And then I went on to learn more about, this is, I guess, a slight tangent to how I got involved in the organization. A former Miss Maine was in the audience at that competition, and she said, hey, I saw in your bio in the program book that you play violin. You should consider the Miss Maine organization because you have a talent. And at the time, I was like, no. If I'm going to compete in Miss America, I'm going to compete in Pennsylvania because they give me more money. And then I did 2 years in Pennsylvania and ultimately was really reevaluating where I wanted to spend some of my last years in the program because, again, I wanted to focus on my career. And Maine had the opportunities for professional development and the community that I wanted to represent as a whole, and that was just really important to me. So I did 2 years in PA, came to Maine, and having spent so much time with my Miss America sisters since the national competition, and getting to meet so many people like you, like other title holders that I've been able to connect with, especially during this time of quarantine. It's just been such a blessing. And I think that that is really the silver lining of the Miss America organization overall. Like, it's not one of the 4 points, but sisterhood is probably the thing that you will carry most with you for a lifetime after your year.
I love that you say that, and I appreciate you shouting me out too, because, you know, although we've never met in person and this is our first time having a vocal conversation, I look at all these girls as my sisters. I look at you as a role model. I watch you, I follow you. And again, it's nice for me as my first year as a Miss, you're not that much older than me. I'm 19 and I know that you're young. I'm not sure how young,
I'm a baby,
but
yeah,
we're
22.
Close in age, and yet you're such a role model to me. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said I'm a baby. I'm only 22, so I'm right there with you, girlfriend.
So we're only 3 years apart, and yet I see you as such a role model, big sisters, because for me, it's so nice to have class acts and, being represented in society. I've had the chance to talk to a few other of your sisters. I've talked to Miss Oklahoma, Miss Utah, and others. I can't remember them all right now, but I've told every one of them, thank you for being such an inspiration. Thank you for being a role model in this day and age when a lot of, young people in pop culture, aren't the best role models. Some celebrities that we see are just not an example of what I think, Miss America covers, and that's not to say that I don't think celebrities are not amazing or relevant, but I think that Miss America offers such a unique, role model component. So I want to thank you because not only to talk to me and we're so nice to me, but I just think that you are an amazing woman all around. Look at me as a part of your sisterhood, and you never know, maybe I'll meet Carolyn Brady in person one day.
I would love that. That is definitely the goal, especially as many of our sisters that we can get together makes the day of every state title holder. Oh no, you froze.
Me too.
Oh wait, hold on.
Am I back now?
Yes, but yes, okay, you're back now. Yep.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I finished off my little spiel. I can edit that out, that frozen part.
Do you want to give another abbreviated version so you can edit it back in? I think you were frozen for most of it. Yeah. So
do you want me should I start over my closing statement again, or did you hear all that? You just want me to cut out the...
So I heard it, but your face was frozen for all of it.
Okay, so let me go back to before that, and then I can edit this out.
Sounds good.
So I so appreciate you saying that about the sisterhood component and including me in that, because of course I look at you as such a role model. I don't even know you, and this is our first vocal sort of face-to-face conversation, or as face-to-face as you can get right now. But you were so kind to me, so generous, and such a class act, and I think you're such an excellent role model. And I've talked to a couple of other sisters in your class, And I thank them because they are so inspiring, so classy, and such a good representative of what this organization tries to teach young women to be. And of course, you are such a representative of that. But you're also so fun, so down to earth, so hilarious. You are a breath of fresh air because not only are you principled and classy, but you are a heck of a lot of fun. And I just really appreciate you being here, Carolyn, and you are such an inspiration for so many reasons. And I just really, really appreciate you being here. So thank you. You are a great part of the sisterhood. And like I said before, we may meet someday. You never know. Stranger things have happened.
That is the goal. Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to see where your journey in our organization goes. I'll be closely following to see who wins Miss Florida 2021. And I'm wishing
Girl, me too.
Yeah.
I'll be watching.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so, so much again, and I can't wait to post this, and I can't wait to keep up with you. Guys, please follow Carolyn on social media because she's just serving a second year as Miss Maine, so obviously follow her for that. Follow her for the memes, and follow her for just so much more. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
All right, let me stop it.